All right, we're going. All right, that's good. Well, hey everybody. So doing my first YouTube live right now. So bear with me as I try to get used to this new format. But the goal of this is weekly to sit down and talk about different topics that are not just on acquisition based, but also business topics about building wealth, about family, about faith, all different types of things that are important to me and potentially you care about them too. So we'll make it worth your while. So today we're going to jump in and start talking about something that I think that is pretty relevant, especially in the entrepreneur space, when people are thinking about making money and grinding hard and building businesses or doing a startup. They're always about thinking that if I do this and I'm successful and I make a lot of money, it's going to make my life that much better, right? And when you don't have any money, it's very easy to think that having money is going to change everything for the better. And it's just not the case, right? So kind of talking about kind of that dark truth, right, of making millions of dollars and what does life look like at that point and what is the reality in terms of how does it change your day-to-day activity, life, and everything else. I'll tell you from my perspective, going from someone who didn't have any money to now having some and being able to see, looking back, how that change happened, right? And so one of the first big misconceptions is that when I have money or when I make $1 million, that my life is really going to materially change in a huge way. Now, you might, at this point, let's say you're living with a roommate and you don't have enough money to go out and have a dinner once a week. You're pretty much scrounging and cutting out coupons. If you end up making $1 million, yes, that is going to change materially how you live. But once you go from no, like having enough to where you can go out any day of the week. You can, get a car that you like to drive around and live in a place that you like to live and have you not have to have a roommate if you don't want to have a roommate and you have your own place. Once you get to that point, there's really no material difference that changes very drastically. Maybe it's going to travel. Maybe you start to travel a little bit more, right? But I found out just in my own life. Now I'm married, I have 3 kids, and the place that we're living in, which you can see around us, is a house that we built, and nothing from a few years ago until now, nothing truly has changed that makes my life that much more exciting or that much more easy in a sense, right? And I think that's a important thing to think on because yes, when you have money, certain things in life become easier, but also certain things become harder, right? So things that you never had an issue with before, like paying taxes and trying to mitigate taxes and trying to do things to where you're using that money in the best possible manner, become a task that you never had before, right? So yeah, it might be easier because you don't have to think about your monthly budget, and maybe you don't have to think about, hey, for vacation this year, instead of looking at certain dates because there's cheaper airfare, we can afford to fly on whatever day we want to. And that's great, right? And it does offer some benefits. But going over that, one, it's not going to make you happier. Having money does not make you happier. If you are thinking it's going to, you're going to be gravely disappointed. Some of the most unhappy people I've ever met are multimillionaires. And so if you have an issue in that part of your life, that's not going to make it any better. And so first misconception is it's going to materially change everything, right? And it's most likely not. Second is it's going to make you happier. It's not, right? The things that make you happy and give you joy are things that are not related to money. It's relationships, it's faith, it's health. Those are the things that bring joy and lasting happiness. Also, the idea that you're finally arriving somewhere is something that can get stuck in your head, right? Because once you become a millionaire, or once you make your first 100,000 or $1 million, you're going to have a new goal, right? Now you're going to get there and be like, oh, that's not what I thought it was. I must make 2 million, or I must make 5 or 10. And you realize that when you get there that, okay, now I have to put the goal even higher because I still don't feel like I've accomplished it. And you never will, because that's kind of a bottomless pit in terms of thinking that that is going to fill a void that you have, right? Which is why we focus on your faith or your family or things that are actually going to fulfill you, right? Also, like, there's a bunch of different paths and to do this, right? There's a lot of different paths to become wealthy. My path went through business acquisition, right? And of course, I'm a big proponent of it. You guys can watch all the other videos I have on my channel, and you can see that that's a huge thing that I promote to do. And I think all you guys, when you check it out, you might agree with it as well. But there's a bunch of ways to different get there. And the joy for me has been in the journey. It's been working really hard, grinding for 18 months to get my first acquisition done. Once that's happened, then, okay, now doing my second, my third, my fourth, my fifth, my sixth, my seventh now, and to continue on down this path. Like I find joy in not the necessarily what I'm making at the end of the month. I get the joy in overcoming obstacles to continue to build out that portfolio of businesses, or it might be real estate, or it might be stocks, whatever it might be. That is enjoyable for me, and that's the thing that I wake up excited and energetic to do, right? So I guess the last question on this would be, if you're thinking that in order for you to feel successful, in order for you to feel happy or accomplished, you need to be a millionaire, the answer is no, you don't. And it's something that you can feel happy and fulfilled and accomplished making $50,000 a year or nothing at all. Because at the end of the day, that type of stuff that fills that void has nothing to do with the amount of money that's in your bank account, right? So changing that shift in terms of your perspective. And I think it's important as you start your entrepreneurial journey, or you're going out there and you're hustling and you got all these side hustles. And we're actually going to talk about in a second. We're going to go through and I'm going to rate some side hustles from my perspective, right? So that should be fun to kind of check that out. But going back to, by getting your mindset right in the beginning, by figuring out what you truly believe, what is truly your purpose, and how you can fulfill that. That is what's going to give you the mental strength as well as a healthy perspective on life. That is not going to make chasing wealth an addiction. It's going to make it a byproduct of you doing life really well. And I think that's where I'm striving to do every day. I don't get it perfect. I screw up every day, but that's what I'm striving to do. And I think that that's super important for everyone who wants to go down that path. Get your mind right, get your spirit right, get your health right, and then continue on the path of whatever you're doing or building or acquiring and building wealth, because you're going to be a much better millionaire, a much healthier person, much more enjoyable to be around than if you wait until you have all this money and then try to work on the things that need to be fixed inside yourself. All right. Okay. So I know we got, I mentioned we're going to go and jump in to some side hustles, but before we get there, another topic that kind of just popped into my head that I think is really important to discuss, because it's a cool movement. I used to actually read a bunch of different blogs on it. It's called, the FIRE movement, the retire early, financially independent, retire early community, right? And they get a lot of things right. It's kind of like Dave Ramsey in a sense. Like Dave Ramsey gets a lot of things right in terms of, like, you shouldn't take on unnecessary debt. You shouldn't have credit cards if you can't use them correctly, because you're going to get yourself in a position where you are screwed, right? You're going to be owing thousands to the credit card companies. You're never going to be able to pay off your balance, and it's just a miserable existence. So a lot of times Dave Ramsey gets it right. He just kind of takes it further and further until I start to say, leverage can be good sometimes if used correctly. It's not always bad. So utilizing that same kind of example, but for the FIRE community, right? Like I said, I know people in it. And it's awesome. I love a lot of the content that they create. I think some people in the community are bringing it a little too far in terms of the big disagreement that I would have with them is more of I firmly believe you should live within your means. And by living within your means, you're going to be able to take what's extra and put that towards investing. Could be acquiring a business, could be investing in stocks, could be in real estate, whatever. But having the mindset of I can't do anything, or depriving myself and my family from almost everything in order that I get to retire 10 years earlier or 20 years earlier at a number that I think is going to set me up. And the idea that, like, the retirement is, finally I can stop working and I can just live off that. And I think a lot of people, especially people who hit retirement, realize, like, it's not all it's cracked up to be. I don't look forward to retiring. I mean, right now we're financially free. I don't have to go into my office every day and work. But I do because I enjoy what I do. And I think finding something you enjoy doing is the ultimate goal and enjoyable. Like I want to be 70 years old and still doing what I like to do, right? And going out there, acquiring businesses, helping other people do the same. That gives me fulfillment in kind of my professional career. And so I don't want to just retire and then all of a sudden be sitting at home during the day watching TV or fishing all day long. Like that, it just doesn't speak to me, right? There might be some people out there where they're like, man, that sounds amazing. And that's fine. Everyone's got their own thing that makes them tick. It just doesn't make me tick. And I think a lot of you guys out there that are entrepreneurial, you guys feel the same way I do. Like you can't see yourself actually going out and saying, okay, I've retired, boom, I'm coming home, Netflix and chill, and that's kind of my new life. Like that just sounds like a horrible life to me. So I think the fire community is awesome. I think the people they're so disciplined, they're knowing where every dollar goes. They are doing everything they possibly can to get towards financial independence. I think it's awesome. I just think if you take to the extreme point where you're depriving your family of things that you don't have to, in achieving a goal that you're going to realize that it doesn't bring the fulfillment that you hope, right? So that's the only thing I put out there when talking about that movement. Right. And so like, again, I love them, but take it a little bit extreme. And I think it could be dialed back in certain ways to make it much more appealing to a more broader audience. All right. So I mentioned before, we're going to go and jump into a side hustle rating. And I'm going to rate these side hustles. You guys are going to go, I'm going to do it right now live. I'm going to kind of rate some of these side hustles that I see all the time on Twitter, on Instagram. These are the ones that you guys are seeing all the time. People talking about, hey, here's a course on this type of strategy, and here's a course on this type of marketing agency. And we're going to go through kind of some of the ones that I think are the best business models, and also the ones I think are the worst business models. And I think that this might be a pretty fun exercise. So let's jump right over and check this out. All right. Okay. You guys should see right in front of you a list where it says greats at the top, then you got good, okay, bad, worst, and below it you're going to see all these different categories, right? Affiliate marketing, blogging, coaching, consulting, all the way across, all the way down. So let's go through this, and I'm going to put my favorite at the top and the worst at the bottom. All right, so obviously, as you guys, this is probably not going to be a huge surprise. It shouldn't be a big surprise to you guys anyway. I'm going to take acquisition. I'm putting it up in the great category. All right. Now, this is what I do. This is how I built my wealth. I've acquired businesses and I've taught other people to do it. I've seen it work time and time again. You can do one deal and it's going to really change your financial picture. Just doing one successful deal, adding 6 figures or more a year in cash flow should change anyone's life. And so definitely putting that at the top. I'm definitely biased, but you guys are going to have to deal with it. All right. So second, let's go from what is not great. Well, I can add some other ones up there that are great too, right? So I can kind of go across and put my thoughts on some of these. But let's go across the list at the bottom, and I'm just going to start throwing them up on this chart, right? So the first one is affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing. So I'm going to put affiliate marketing in the good category, right? And I'll tell you why it's not great to me. Affiliate marketing is very much it can be very lucrative and it can be a great business model, but it really comes down to what industry you're doing it in and how you're setting it up on the front end and how you're setting it up, right? So if you're in a specific, I'm a fan of being in a niche or very niche specific industry and doing affiliate marketing, right? Because you're able to build a brand. People know you for who you are. Maybe it's travel, hospitality, whatever brand it is, right? And if you build up a brand on that or a following on that, affiliate marketing can be an amazing, lucrative opportunity, right? Now, granted, it takes time to be a good affiliate marketer. It really does take time to kind of build up that brand and what that brand signifies, building trust with your audience so that you're able then to pass on them to that offer and have them buy and convert at a good rate, right? So you definitely need to have that pre-built. So um, in terms of a rating, I'm giving it a good because yes, you can do well with it. Yes, you can make a lot of money, but it's not great because it takes a good amount of time to, in my opinion, to build up that brand so that it becomes worth your time and you're making legitimate money, right? Acquisition, as long as you have, you've had some jobs in the past, you've worked in sales, marketing, or operations, which is almost everybody. As long as you've done something, you can go out there and get an SBA loan and you can do it. You don't have to wait to kind of build up a brand or take time to build something up before you can actually implement it, right? So that's why I would put that in the gray category. Affiliate marketing, good. And we're not going to do all these guys. Some of these are just, yeah, like, I'm not doing OnlyFans. I'm not doing OnlyFans management. I'm not going to do some of these, right? So we're just going to go pick the ones I can talk on. All right, coaching and consulting. I think this is great, right? So I'm going to put that up here next to acquisition. Now, obviously, I have a coaching program in a group, so I'm not. It might sound biased, but I'm putting it up near great because you can start it in a day, right? You can literally, if you have a skill that's marketable, that you can help other people on a particular topic, there's nothing stopping you from being a consultant or a coach, right? Make a profile, start talking about it. People are going to ask you questions. Give way more value than you're receiving. Don't go out there day one, try to sell a product. Go out there and just help people, right? And to be a good consultant, if you want to start from nothing, go out there and volunteer for a couple, like one or two projects. Just go out, volunteer, and go and do a great job, get an amazing review, do it for free, and have that person then sing your praises. And believe it or not, you're going to be getting a bunch of other people reaching out to utilize your service, right? I've seen it time and time again. You can literally get multiple four-figure retainers in the span of 30 days just by going out there, doing some work for free, getting great reviews, using that, putting it out there, and getting people reaching back out to you. So very easy to implement. Almost everyone out there has some type of skill that they can monetize. If you don't, work on the skill first, and once you're ready, then you can monetize it. All right, content creator. I see. Oh, okay. I'll stop on blogging. Blogging. I'm gonna put at blogging in and of itself. I'm gonna put it at okay. Blogging is. It used to be. We're past blogging's heyday, in my opinion. It used to be much more of a thing where SEO ads and used to have. But to be able to get to a point of having a blog that is monetized heavy enough to where you're making legitimate money takes a long time. It takes a lot of content, a lot of writing, a lot of backlinks, a lot of just work to end up making significant money. It takes a long time. So that's why the time, the effort, I'm putting it down at okay. All right, content creator. I mean, I guess I'm going to put this one at okay. The reason why content creator is okay is because it takes time. You're not going to be famous or making money within the first few months, if not even the first potentially year. It takes time to build up a following, build up a brand, and then you got to use that brand to then sell something to, right? And so, yeah, content creator. A lot of people think they're going to be the next, Logan Paul or something else like that. It's very hard. It's extremely grinding and just going out there day after day after day, throwing a bunch of things out there, hoping something hits and sticks to the wall. Yeah, not my favorite. Even though I'm doing it, not my favorite. Courses. I probably put this over here in good, right? Courses and education. So this is kind of goes into the whole coaching consulting. The reason why it's not great is because it takes time, right? To build a course that's worth selling is going to take you some time to put together. So it's not something like today, if I wanted to start consulting, I could do that. I can't just list a course today, right? I got to build it out. I got to kind of make a syllabus. I got to kind of make sure that when someone pays for it, they're going to get enough value so that they leave me a great review so I can then continue to sell the course and grow it out. But I think the education sphere and picking a topic that people want to learn about, becoming an expert on it, making a course or a book, an ebook or whatever on it, I think is awesome. I think it's a great way to create legitimate cash flow, and I'm a big fan of it. So put it up there. All right, let's see. Let's do a few more of these. Let's do a newsletter. Put newsletter in the OK. I have a newsletter. It's great. At this point, I probably have 12, 13,000 people in the newsletter list. It's amazing and it can be monetized, but it takes time. Again, a newsletter is in and of itself. If you're starting from scratch and you're just building a newsletter, that's going to take a lot of time to get it to a point where you actually have unless you have a previous brand, you have a following on, like, let's say you have a 50,000 followers on Instagram. Yeah, you can build up your newsletter pretty quickly, right? Because you offer a freebie in exchange for their email, and you get a bunch of people from your audience there now become an audience on your newsletter. So you can do it if you already have an audience, but if you don't, it takes a lot of time. It takes really consistent content posting and really just incentives to get people to subscribe. So in and of itself, I think it's an okay model. Now, it's a great add-on if you have a brand, if you have an existing coaching community, then it can be a great way to add value. All right, let's get through some of these other ones real quick. So not going to talk on drop servicing or drop shipping. Let's do that one. Drop shipping. You know what? I might get some flack for this one. I'm just going to put this over in bad. The reason why I put drop shipping is super popular. There's a bunch of people out there that are, saying they're making $1 million a year drop shipping, and that's great. Like, I'm not at all convinced that it's a great business model. It's super hard. You constantly have to find new products to put out there. And build up. This is kind of similar with Amazon or FBA, right? And I'm going to put this again. People are going to jump on me, right? So fulfillment by Amazon is okay. Let's put this one up at okay, right? I'll do that, okay. But still, the reason why is, fulfillment by Amazon. You don't have to deal with the logistical part because Amazon is doing it, but you still, again, have to be on top of getting new SKUs, new products, getting reviews on them. It's something where it's a constant grind. It's super competitive. People are pricing things like we're talking pennies, right, to get a better price, to get more reviews, and it's just constant, and it's very competitive. And so that's one of the reasons why if I was telling someone to get into a side hustle that's going to make legitimate money, fulfillment by Amazon is not going to be my recommendation, and neither is drop shipping. All right, let's see. Merch or clothing line. Again, I think I'm going to have to put this down in the bad. And the reason why, now, if you have a brand, right, the big disclaimer here, or a big contingency, if you have a brand, then yes, merch, clothing line, it can be a great way to add additional revenue. If you don't have a brand, to start from scratch and make merch and clothing line, it's so hard, right? It's not impossible. Obviously, there's a huge amount of examples of people who've done it. But how many people have tried and failed? And I guarantee you that number is thousandfold, the people who are successful at it. It's just, you have to be very talented, very good at it, have connections, probably tie into finding a creator who has a following to kind of start, marketing your merch to, who wears your merch, gets people to come back to you in your store to buy it. I would not, if someone came to me asking, hey Ben, what's the best side hustle for me to get out there and do? Merch and clothing line is definitely not going to be even in the top 10 for that. All right, let's get on to some other ones we got here. Oh, this one's good. YouTube automation. That's so hard. I'm going to put it here. And the reason why is I've dove into this before. There's just a lot of just sketch stuff in the YouTube automation space. It is not easy to just make a faceless YouTube channel, post a bunch of content, and then have it monetized and make a lot of money. Like, yes, are there people who do that? Yes. Is it something that you can pay someone or take the time and learn the skills of editing, learn the skills of just finding out what's trending and doing it? It takes a lot of work if you're going to do it yourself to be good at it. And there's so many people out there selling YouTube automation courses and will do this for you, done for you services. It's a super, just from what I've seen, just kind of sketchy. And I know very few people doing it. I actually only have one who succeeded, and all the rest, I know a bunch of people who tried it and have not. So for me, Not recommending anyone to try it. Not saying it's impossible, just not going to be in my top. All right, let's go. Let's move this forward. SaaS. Oh, no, that's SMA. SaaS. I'm going to put SaaS in. Okay, I'm going to put it in good. Nope, it's going to go in okay. And the reason why I'm doing okay is not because I have a SaaS company. Like it's one of the companies that I've acquired. They can be very lucrative. It's a recurring revenue. Their value is very high, especially when you want to resale. That's all great stuff. But in terms of starting it from scratch, again, this is the whole purpose of this is what would I recommend to someone who wants to do a side hustle, right? And unless they have a software engineering background, a development background, telling them to go and start a SaaS company is like, it's like I would hate that person, right? Like it's so much work. It takes so much time, energy, and money to develop a working SaaS product. Now, there's probably a bunch of examples out there of ones that took $5,000 and then within 6 months they're at 100,000 MRR. That is very, very rare and very much the exception to the rule. So can they be amazing? Yeah, I've acquired one. Is this something I would recommend someone to start unless they really like love doing it, have a development background, have a bunch of free time on their hands, and just kind of a masochist in general because it's so painful to do development? Then no, I'm not going to tell anyone to do it. All right. Podcast. Again, I'm putting this over here in okay. Podcasts, if you want to make money starting a side hustle, a podcast is not a good idea. Podcasts are something, again, through the long game, right? This is like the content creator stuff. This is you every day speaking into the void. And eventually you're going to get some listeners, and those listeners might share your stuff. And eventually down the road, you might have something. Now, if you already have a brand, all this is a caveat. If you have a brand where you have a following, then yeah, podcast makes sense, right? Like right now, for me, I'm getting on to almost 200,000 followers across different social media platforms. If I wanted to do a podcast, it would make sense, right? It takes time. I would put out that content. People who already follow me would probably listen to it. A certain percentage of them would. And then over time, it could grow. I'm not going to make money from it day one. Even though I'm talking about maybe acquisitions or building businesses, it takes time. And yeah, I might plug my own offering in there, and some people might come through that funnel. But I would do it with the kind of the long game in mind. And if you don't have a brand and you don't have a following, to start from scratch on a podcast, it's super hard. I mean, it's just going to take a long, long, long time. And it's not something that you're going to be monetizing anytime soon from the beginning. All right. Okay, I'm going to have to start throwing some stuff into the worst. Okay, yeah, I've been trying to not put anything I have on here into the worst category, but there's definitely going to have to do that. Okay, so let's do this quick. Video editor. So a video editor, I'm going to put that into the good. If you have a skill set and you know how to edit videos, you can go on Fiverr or Upwork today, make a profile, and put your price very low, and you will get people sending stuff for you to do, right? So you can start making money on that really, really quick. Now, it's a lot of work, especially if you're doing the editing yourself, but you can easily scale that over time. So you can start making money day one if you have the skill set. So I'm going to put that up in good. User-generated content, same up here. If you have the skill set, you put out an offer, you can start doing this as it's an agency model, and you can start making money pretty quickly. And so if you have that skill set and that background, yeah, I can recommend that. Drop servicing, this is kind of like the white labeling. Again, I'll put this up you know what? Because you're not providing the service, I'll put it up here. It's as good. So drop servicing is more of like, you sell SEO services, but you have another provider, right? You're kind of the middleman. Maybe you put out there, you make a website, you do SEO services. You go and find someone off Fiverr and Upwork who do SEO services for very cheap. You're the one who gets the order from someone. You then sell it to the person on Fiverr. They do it for way less than what you just sold it on, and you keep the middleman, right? So you can do this starting today. You can go on Fiverr, make an account, doing SEO services. Someone pays you, for the sake of the argument, someone pays you $500. You can then find someone else on Fiverr that will do it for $250, and then you just make $250. So they do the work, they give it back to you, you give it to the client, and this is kind of the drop servicing model. So that can start working pretty quick. Okay, so OnlyFans, I'm putting down here in the worst. And again, I'm saying OnlyFans from the perspective of what everyone knows OnlyFans for, right? And obviously, not a fan of it personally, and I think it's just a it's not a good place to get involved. There's just, for me, moral implications and everything else. So OnlyFans and OnlyFans management are going to be done in the worst. And then let's say SMMA, I'll put that back up here again in terms of the ability for you to start making money quickly. I would put it up there, like forming an agency takes a little bit of time, getting a couple clients on, doing it for free, right? And then getting right into marketing your services, right? So I'm going to put that up into the good category. Okay. We just went through and put them out. So just to recap here, the great ones, I'm going to be biased because these are the two things that I do, acquisitions and then coaching and consulting, which I do. But again, the reason why is because you start making money on coaching and consulting day one. Acquisitions, you can't make money day one, but one deal and you have potentially changed your financial outlook, right? So there's a huge win if you get a deal done, right? Whereas these other models are more of like ongoing businesses, right? You have to start from scratch. You're hoping it catches on, and that's how I've kind of listed it. Where good, these are high probability you'll make money quickly. Okay is yeah, you can make money, probably not quickly. Bad is yeah, you can make money, but it's very hard to do it, and most likely you won't. And then worst is just don't get involved in it because I think it's not good for you in any way, right? So let's stop sharing that screen. Let's jump back over. And we are right at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is where we're going to end this out. So I'm glad we got to talk through some of those different side hustle ideas. And if you guys are watching this, leave in the comments below. If you guys got topics that you want me to talk on, whether it's side hustles and maybe dive into more detail on some of the side hustles that I picked up there as good or great, we can do that. Again, this is something I'm going to try to do weekly, put it out there. Questions on acquisitions, of course, I could talk about that all day long. But anything else, business related or making money related, I'm always wanting to dive into those. So hope you guys are having an awesome day, great Thursday, and I'll talk to you guys. Yeah, sure. We got some, sure. Let's check them out. Awesome. Sweet. So how, I know that there were some comments, guys, put down here. I'm trying to see where I can see them. Um, let's see. Yeah. Send me the link so I can check. Okay, I see it here on the chat. All right. All right, let's see. All right. Sweet, guys. I seen the chat down here. Ethan, what's up, man? Um, and then appreciate you reaching out. Let's see. Okay, so Givens, like your stuff, and you're 19. You're thinking of which way to go when it comes to finance. Um, good stuff. Nothing much. Found a channel recently. Been loving it. Um, yeah, Jason Paul Rogers, Cody Sanchez. Those are great. Great other options to go and learn. They got a bunch of great content out there. Um, Givens, glad you found the channel yesterday. You liked it. Sweet. Um, Good, good. Thinking of the getting capital, then going into acquisition like you and Alex Hormozy, also loans maybe. Good stuff, man. Let's see if we have any other questions towards the bottom. Okay, so Givens, I think what we'll do is on Thursdays, probably around 3 p.m. Eastern to 4 p.m. Eastern. In that time, I'll do a live. We'll jump on. If you guys want to be here, you want to ask questions. Um, I can see Ethan down there. You're interested in acquiring businesses, seller financing. Love to know more. We can definitely do more topics on that in following live stream. So make sure like 3 p.m. Just make sure you get notified. Make sure your notifications are on. So when I go live, you guys know, and then we can go from there. But I appreciate you guys jumping on the first live stream, and there's definitely going to be more to come.